Coming up on Evening Edition, severe weather could be on the way. We'll keep you updated. SIU students look for part-time jobs at a campus fair, and a family gathering in St. Louis turns to tragedy. Live from Southern Illinois University, this is River Region Evening Edition.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Zach Warhus.
And I'm Jacob Gordon. We start with the severe weather tonight as residents across the river region are keeping their eyes to the sky after a tornado watch has been issued until 8 o'clock tonight. Jordan Taylor is here now with more on what we're going to expect. Jordan.
Well, guys, I just stepped outside before we came here into the studio, and it's not raining just yet here in our region, but we are under a tornado watch. This is what we're tracking right now. You can see the track is moving at a northeast track tracking from northeast parts of Texas into Arkansas, into the Boot Heel of Missouri, and now moving into our region. We are expected to see some heavy winds and some possible damaging hail, as well as that tornado watch that we're tracking on that track. So we are looking at the possible chance for some heavy winds as well, but here's that storm check that we're checking out. Tornadoes in that yellow region right there. So into that parts of Arkansas, the Boot Heel of Missouri, south parts of southern Illinois, and then you've got Indiana as well as the Ohio Valley. Those are the possible tracks that a tornado is looking in that region, and on these outer parts just looking at those damaging winds. So if we look at the wind projections, you can see on the outer bands, less parts of wind looking more to 10 to 20 miles an hour. As you get closer in this region where that tornado is possibly expected to track up north, you see winds possibly reaching 40 to 50 mile an hour, also adding in that hail damage as well. So checking a look at what we can see for later in my headlines, we're tracking the latest rounds of those storms. We do have the rise and falls of those temperatures, and I do have the 5-day forecast plus more.
All right, police are on the scene of an active shooter incident at the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. Police say one woman is dead and she is believed to have been the shooter. They also believe that the gunshot was self-inflicted. Google, the owner of YouTube, posted on Twitter that they are coordinating with the authorities. In the age of fake news and social media, unbiased reporting is becoming harder and harder for people to find and accept.
And a recent report from Deadspin.com found that news stations owned by Sinclair Broadcasting Group might be hurting rather than helping the situation. Evening Edition's Justin Broom reports.
If you've been on social media recently, you may have seen this video.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
All the anchors are for stations owned by Sinclair Broadcasting Group. This promo is part of a practice known as must carry or must read. This means that the owners are forcing the stations to air the material or face consequences. But not only must the stations air the material that's being shown isn't exactly unbiased.
No, Sinclair has done these must-carry news stories for quite a while. They've forced their stations to carry commentaries and news stories that tend to be, conservatively slanted at some point in the broadcast day.
The recent findings have led many stations and journalism groups to respond to the situation. Even the Illinois News Broadcasters Association, who said, amid growing criticism of cable news coverage, local TV news remains one of the most trusted sources, and local news is where INBA members are working every day, every night, and every weekend. But the trust is getting thinner, and what Sinclair is doing is threatening to destroy what's left of it. So how do we move from here? What can people do to find the truth in a media-saturated world? The answer is not clear.
Make sure that you, as a journalism student, or as a consumer of news, frankly, get your news from as many sources as possible.
For River Region Evening Edition, I'm Justin Broom.
Sinclair Broadcasting Group owns about 193 stations across the country, making them the largest owner in terms of station count. The company says their reporting remains nonpartisan.
Two men say the same Chicago police detective helped frame both of them for murder. Jose Almodova Jr. and Jose Mason had each spent more than 20 years in prison before their convictions were overturned. They both filed federal lawsuits that say former detective Roberto Guevara beat them into false confessions and coerced witnesses against them. Guevara is not the only officer being sued, but his name is the only shared between the two lawsuits.
I missed my daughter's first step, her first words, her first everything because of him.
Guevara has been linked to at least 9 convictions that have been overturned in less than 2 years.
Missouri's Attorney General issued an investigative subpoena to Facebook on Monday. The Kansas City Star reports that the subpoena demands Facebook disclose when it was shared personal data with the political group. Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley joined 36 other state attorney generals last week, signing a letter requesting answers. He says he issued the subpoena to protect Facebook users in Missouri.
SIU hosted a job fair this afternoon for students looking for part-time work.
Evening Edition's Danny Connolly has the story.
Teen employers across campus and around the community all came today to meet potential employees, from SIU's Achieve program to Pepsi Midland America.
We really just wanted to come and always look for that new 5-star extra person for part-time or full-time, and just get that career-minded person that might come through as well.
Many SIU students also volunteered at the job fair to assist students to impress employers.
I'm doing the printing station, so if you need to print off any resumes, references, or anything, you can just come to this section, and we have laptops set up that you can print them off.
The job fair was sponsored by New Student Programs, Career Services, the Student Center, Undergraduate Admissions, and the College of Engineering.
It's a great way for students and even people from the community to come and see what jobs they can get at SIU or when they come to SIU.
For River Region, I'm Danny Connolly.
Now, Career Services will host more job fairs in the fall semester, including one specifically for STEM.
Ahead on Evening Edition, the New York State Attorney General is suing the administration census question about citizenship, and he's not the only one.
Plus, a 7-year-old shot and killed on a bloody Sunday in St. Louis. Morning in St. Louis after the death of a 7-year-old boy over the Easter weekend.
A family friend said he was accidentally shot by his brother, who found their father's gun in the house. Brenda Gonzalez has more.
He was a charmer.
This smile
everywhere he goes
is just one of the things Erica Jones will miss most about 7-year-old Jermon Perry. That and his caring nature.
Compliment all the time on a regular basis. I love your hair, you're pretty.
Jones is a close family friend, speaking on behalf of Jermon's parents, who are still working to not only deal with the news of their son's death themselves, but also trying to explain it to his 2 brothers, including his twin.
They thinking he at the hospital, and they can go get him.
The 3 siblings were playing inside their St. Louis home Easter weekend when one of them opened a drawer looking for candy. Instead, he found his dad's gun.
They were playing with it, and the gun went off, striking Jermon in the head.
Their mom, who was downstairs in the kitchen, immediately called for an ambulance. Jermon died at the hospital.
It feels unfair. It feels wrong.
Dr. Kelly Morton, Jermon's principal, had to help explain the news this morning to Jermon's first-grade classmates.
Death is still something that some of them struggle to understand.
Jones offers 2 requests in light of what happened.
Don't be quick to judge.
Including one for gun owners.
Get a lock, get a safe.
Thinking back on that smile.
He was a good one.
It's just one quality anyone who knew Jermon will never forget.
He will leave a hole in all of our hearts.
Not pursuing charges at this point, the family will hold a candlelight vigil for Jermon near their home tomorrow night. 2 people died Monday afternoon in a plane crash at an Indiana airport. Kyle Hipst and David Whitkemper were both firefighters with the Pipe Creek Township Fire Department. The crash happened when their plane was taking off from the airport. The single-engine plane clipped the tail of a larger jet that had just landed. The smaller plane then crashed and caught fire, killing both passengers.
Teachers in Oklahoma City continued their walkout today as they called for more education funding, so dozens of schools are still closed. The walkouts in Oklahoma come after lawmakers passed an emergency pay increase teachers say is not enough, and the Oklahoma City American Federation of Teachers is calling on lawmakers to reinstate the capital gains tax to raise education funding. And the New York Attorney General announced a multi-state lawsuit Tuesday over the question of citizenship in the 2020 census. This comes a week after California's Attorney General filed a similar lawsuit against the Trump administration. This time, 17 states, the District of Columbia, and 6 cities have come together. Some of them have worked together in the past against the Trump administration. This question of citizenship has not been in the full census since the 1950s, though it appeared on a smaller sample surveys in off years.
Specifically to help us better comply with the Voting Rights Act.
Jeff Sessions has not run one case under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act since he's been Attorney General, and in his confirmation hearings said it is an intrusive piece of federal legislation. So I'm not sure what prompted this turnaround.
Now, critics say by asking about citizenship, non-citizens and their families may be afraid to answer any questions on the census. That would result in an undercount affecting how much money each community gets.
President Trump is threatening to use troops along the Mexico border until he gets his new wall. He made the comment in passing and didn't reference it during a news conference later, but he did tell reporters it's an idea that he and Defense Secretary Jim Mattis agree on. In 2006, then President George Bush sent 6,000 National Guard troops to guard the border. The university and hospitals in Cleveland are being sued after 3 cancer survivors lost their frozen eggs after a series of errors. Failure of a cryogenic freezer and human error are being investigated as potential reasons for the loss. One of the women who lost her eggs says the episode has taken a massive emotional toll.
In shock, I screamed and fell to my knees in the kitchen. I felt as if I were dying, and I wanted to die. The overwhelming grief was as if I had lost a child.
The women underwent fertility treatments and delayed chemotherapy in order to freeze their eggs. Doctors say it's unlikely they will be able to have biological children.
Could marijuana help curb America's opioid epidemic? Well, according to 2 new studies, the answer is yes. One study at the University of Georgia compared opioid prescription patterns in states with and without medical cannabis laws. The other study from the University of Kentucky says states with medical marijuana had 2 million fewer daily doses of opioids prescribed per year. And the opioid prescriptions under Medicaid dropped by almost 6% in states with medical marijuana. Marijuana has been shown to be effective in treating chronic pain and other conditions. Well, up next, it's supposed to get cold the next few days, but how cold is it supposed to get? Jordan Taylor has your full forecast next.
And on Wall Street, the major stock indices finished with positive results. Stay tuned for the nightly business report coming up at 5:30.
Miles an hour. So here's that 5-day forecast. As you can see, rain not till later on in the week. As you can see, we'll see 55 on Thursday. Friday brings back the 50s as well, but some clouds in the sky. Saturday, we may see some sun, 42. And as you can see, Mother Nature bringing us back down into the rain and the colder temperatures. In those low conditions, you just don't want to be outside at night just because, guys, it's going to be cold, but we're still checking that radar. You still want to be active, looking at your weather radar, keeping up to date, because though this storm is moving fast, it is possible damaging winds and a tornado watch.
And we could hear the thunder while you were giving the weather forecast.
Oh, man, so there you go. So it's active, guys.
Exactly. Thanks, Jordan. We'll check back in just a few minutes. And now here's Patrick Cotto with a look at what's coming up next in sports. Patrick.
Well, coming up in sports, the St. Louis Blues are fighting for their playoff lives, and one Saluki athlete made a huge step over the weekend. Stay tuned. Shio was named Most Outstanding Player for his performance. The Wildcats won 79-62, finishing the season with 36 wins, which is a new team high. And guys, with Villanova winning that, Philadelphia has become the first sports town to win a Super Bowl and a national title in the same year.
That's amazing.
I know, it's awesome.
Great day to be from Philly.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks, Patrick. And coming up, Jordan Taylor has an update on the severe weather on the way.
You're watching River Region Evening Edition.
We can hear the rain here in the studio, so one last check of the radar.
We take a look at that radar. I just stepped outside. It's raining heavy. The winds are blowing it to the side, guys. So even an umbrella is going to be tough out there. But taking a look at that radar, you can see it's tracking just straight across southern Illinois and central parts of Illinois into Indiana, into the Ohio Valley. So we're also checking possible chance that tornado watch is still in effect until 8 p.m. If we look at that graphic with the winds, you can see winds are possible to reach 50 miles an hour in some places. And we're checking out, even in here, we're seeing 30-mile-an-hour winds possible, and that yellow shade is where that stronger wind is possible. But later on in the week, this storm is moving fast, so we're going to just, we're not going to think about it. As you can see, tomorrow, sun returns. It's act like that storm's never there. 47, though. I know we saw the high of 70, but we'll see 40 tomorrow. And for the rest of the week, no rain until possibly Sunday.
All right, thanks,
Thank you so much, Jordan. And thank you guys for joining us so much tonight. Be sure to follow us on social media at River Region News and visit our website for more local news. I'm Zach Warhus.
And I'm Jacob Gorda. And for Jordan Taylor, Patrick Cotto, and all the students who work on Evening Edition, we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.